Welcome once again to my show. Indeed, today we've got a very special guest by the name of Richard Tyson. The gentleman's name is Richard Tyson, and you may not know the name. However, you'll know him from a lot of TV series and movies that we've seen for over the last 30, 40 years across the world, and some even cult movies now, such as 3 O'Clock High. I'd like to welcome to our show Mr. Richard Tyson. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, indeed, as I mentioned, 30, 40 years of doing this. And my goodness, this is a very long career. And like I said, now the folks, they know you mostly by face as a character actor. You know, like a lot of character actors have been out there, like Dub Taylor and all these other character actors through time.
Even when I was the lead in some movies, I thought that was a character, so it doesn't bother me, you know. But yeah, I got on the bus a long time ago, and I came back and went to school because this casting director told me to. Okay. He says, you need to go away and train. I think you got the twinkle in your eye and all that, but you need to go train if you're going to make this your lifelong gig. And I went back. I finally got my master's at Cornell. I went to Bama for a couple of years and
Roll
got
Tide.
the MFA. Yeah, there you go. And I came back. And I called. I said, is Valerie there? She's kind of heavy set. She goes, this is she. I'm like, oh, sorry. She goes, no, I'm Greek. I love it. You know, it's okay. Look, if you're coming out here, don't come out here to see us because we don't want that pressure. She says, okay. But drop by and see us, you know. So they were outside of security when I met them 5 years before. I was going to my busboy job. Everyone wanted me to run their restaurant. And I said, I came out here to be in the movies, not to run your restaurant. So if you make me busboy, I'll lock up for you or whatever, you know. It stops in front of Fox Studios and the bus, and I look out and I see 2 new trailers. I'm like, that's casting trailers. It's got to be, you know. And indeed, I got off and I walked towards both of them. I'm like, which one? Fate, left or right, left or right. I said, you know what? I'm going to just stop. And they can see me from here, both of them, and I'll just wait until someone calls me in. I waited all day. It was Monday. It was getting dark. I was going to lose my busboy job. And next morning at 9 a.m. I was there. And I was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on Friday afternoon, I'm about to leave. I says, all right, you need one of these guys, but I'm going to try something next week, you know. And the heavyset woman on the left, she says, hey, do you want some water? I'm like, I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank my parents, you know, Jesus, you know. And I walked in, and she goes, just settle down here, have that. And let's take you back to Jane Feinberg. And it turned out she was the biggest casting director in L.A. at the time. I had no idea. I just saw a trailer, you know. And I said, you want to hear a monologue? She goes, I've never heard a monologue. That's theater. I don't want to hear it. I said, it's a good monologue. It's from Streetcar Named Desire. You don't want to hear it? She says, no, I don't want to hear it. I said, all right. Well, Mitch didn't come back here with roses because I know where he is. She goes, Mitch who? You know, and I just went into the monologue. Okay. And she kept responding to me. And halfway through, she sat back and went, oh, he's doing it. And she, at the end of it, she only had 2 monologues at the time. And she goes, do you have another one? I'm like, look, I had to play tough, you know. Look, you didn't even see one before you just saw that one. So now you want another one? Yeah, can you do it with a different accent? I'm like, well, yeah, sure. And I did it, same accent. She goes, you know what? I think you got something there. I think I see it. But if you're going to do this, you need to go away and train and come back. 5 years later, I'm at Fox Studios looking at it with my masters and all that. And trailers are inside now. And so I walked around to the backside of Fox Studios and climbed a 3-story chain link fence with barbed wire. And I'm at the top of it, and this lady leans out of the window and says, Says, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm trying to get in the movies. She goes, you're never going to be in the movies. I'm like, yes, I am. I'm going to be. And I'm arguing with her back and forth. And I got the barbed wire right there, you know. And she goes, I'm calling the cops, you know. And she slammed the window. And I'm like, I have to get down. I'm going to get down on the inside. And I did. And I ran and I hid for about an hour and a half. And finally, I got up, had my breath, and walking down Fenton Feinberg Casting. I see it. And I go in. I see, is Valerie there? She's kind of heavy set. And she was behind this just going into the dining room. It was a regular house kind of thing. She goes, I'm Valerie. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
It sounds like your career started off just like a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, you didn't have to audition. Your movie was right there already.
Yeah, so let's go back and see Jane Feinberg. And she goes, Richard Tyson? She said, oh my God, where's your accent? I said, I can bring it back, ma'am, but I don't think Mr. Shakespeare would appreciate that. She goes, oh my God. I said, you want to hear a monologue? I have 55 of them now. And she goes, no, but you know what? You got the chutzpah. I said, chutzpah. Didn't know what that meant, but I said, what is that? She goes, that's determination, you know, sticking to it. I mean, because 5 years ago, we saw you standing in the parking lot on Monday, and we waited Tuesday morning. Business starts at 10 a.m. in Hollywood for lawyers and, you know, and agents. And she goes, you were there every morning all day long and no one talked to you. And then we called you in. I'm like, that's chutzpah.
That's chutzpah.
Right. And she goes, what are you doing for an agent? I said, I have a list from the guild. She goes, look, I know a match made in heaven. I'm like, that's a key phrase in my life. And she picked up and called Bruce Willis's agent, and I was on Moonlighting.
There you go.
Within 30 days.
I think third season, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think, yeah, something like that. And I've been working ever since.
I guess in the career, that's now 35, almost 40 years, and I mean, you've had great movies, great TV shows. Hardball on NBC.
Hardball.
For one season with John Ashton.
Yeah.
You as the main characters.
That's right. Brandon Tartikoff. My agent says the head of NBC wants to meet you at his office. I'm like, okay, let's go. She goes, well, we'll do it tomorrow, you know. And so I get to his secretary. She goes, go right in. I'm like, I can't just walk in on him. Okay. I open the door, and his office is as big as a gymnasium. It's like the biggest office I'd ever seen, and no furniture except right under the sunlight. He got up immediately, brought the chairs over, and he goes, son, we have to get this off our chest. Two Moon Junction, we saw that, and we haven't seen heat on the screen like that since Brando did Tango. I'm like, can we get a witness in here? Do I have to tell the story?
You have it in writing, you know, that he says, compares you to Brando, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, and that's my favorite, you know. But he goes, so I want to give you a TV show. I'm like, okay, yeah. Now we're going to send you scripts, and if you don't like it, throw it against your wall. I know where you live, and we know if you don't like it, you throw it against the wall. And I was on number 5, and I'm like, man, I gotta say yes pretty soon, you know. And a director that I'd worked with on Davy Crockett up in Canada, he called me and said, look, we are in control of the second script you threw against the wall. So you got a new version of it, look at it, and it was Hardball.
Okay, cool.
And I loved it. And we did it for one season, and Tartikoff passed away, and so that was his baby, so his baby goes with him, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Well, I mean, you know, and you've other things such as Kindergarten Cop with Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger.
You played the bad guy.
Yeah, I played the loving father. Come on, he wanted his son back. That's all he wanted.
Okay. That's point of view, right?
Right. And my dear mother, I grew up so much and had hair now, so we need to get her another baby that she can wash and all that stuff, you know. It's like, but Arnold, I was called in to meet him and the directors, and they had said that I had the job, but it just didn't sink in, and so they called me the next morning. We go to this sound stage, a big, huge sound stage, and in the middle of it, there was a long table with Arnold sitting there, and it turns out that was his English teacher, and they were going through the script, working on words that he could say good. I think R's were a problem, you know. I mean, that was his second language. I mean, he's amazing. But to see him that humbled in the beginning, like the guy ever since. I saw him at Venice Beach about 2 years ago, and I hear something. I hear Richard Tyson, Richard Tyson. And I'm like, I turned around and it was him. I said, "Who are you?" No one's ever said that to Arnold, right? He goes, "Tyson, you're kindergarten, I'm Terminator." I'm like, I'll take it, you know.
Maybe is he thinking maybe a remake or something? Wouldn't that be cool?
They tried it without us. It wasn't cool.
Yeah. Okay. See, I did not know that. They tried to remake and everything.
Yeah. They did.
And then there was The Babe with John Goodman, and you played Guy Bush.
That's right. Guy Bush was a real player back in the day. He was like 29 years in the majors, and he gave up Babe Ruth's last two. No telling how many before that, you know. But my agent goes, "They're going to cut your hair, cut your pay, and you're only in 4 scenes, and they're all baseball, and you're going to be gone for 6 weeks." I said, "For 4 days?" He says, "Yeah, and they'll pay you each week for a week." And I said, "What are they paying me for?" They said, "You're acting." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm in the majors. I'm in the majors. Don't you get that? I'm playing baseball at Wrigley Field, you know." And I didn't think I was going to make it, you know. And I did, and I was able to pitch. At the end of it, John Goodman came over and says, "You know what, Tyson? They had AA pitchers and stuff and everybody. You're the only pitcher that didn't hit me." I'm like, "Well, great, you know." So that was thrilling because they had the extras. Like if they wanted a home run ball, they'd put the extras out in the outfield. If it's center field or whatever, and then behind the plate when I was pitching. So they came out to spritz me. And I'm like, "I don't want the spritz. Look, I want the real sweat, you know, like this is the
Real McCoy, right?
Right, yeah, this is the World Series. Come on, you know." And
that's method acting right there.
Well, I guess it is. But so I go out to the outfield because I'm still waiting on them to fix the camera just the way they want it. And I yelled to all the extras. I said, "They're not ready." And they go, "Boo, boo, boo." And I look at the director. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" So I started doing sprints over to right field and back and forth. And all of a sudden, I hear them going, 9, 10, 11, 12. And they call me in. I said, "They're ready." And they're going, "Yeah, they're up," and cheering. And I get to the director on second base, and he's like, "What the hell's going on out there?" I said, "Those are my people. Those are my people. You know, I'm a man of the people." He goes, "Okay, whatever. Oh, we got to fix. Oh, we got something else. We got to get a filter. It's out in the truck, so it's going to be a little longer." So I run right past second base, out to the outfield. I said, "They're not ready yet." Boo, you know. And they said, "Stay close." I'm like, "Okay." So I started doing push-ups between first base and the mound, and I heard them counting again, man. And it's like 24, 25, 26, and they go, "We're ready." And so in the movie, you'll see Guy Bush looking for the catchers, the signal, right? And it's slow motion. And this drop of sweat comes all the way down and it hangs on my nose. And then drops. It was like a 9-second thing.
Cool, cool.
But it was all worth it. You know?
So, and let me tell you, Guy Bush was from this area. Did you know that? He was from Aberdeen, which is just about 30 miles away from Tupelo, 35 miles as the crow flies. And he passed away back in 1985, and he's buried in Shannon, which is like about 15 miles just south of Tupelo. So, so that tie-in right there, that you played a gentleman that was a legend from this area.
Oh, I could never find a picture of him, so I didn't know what to do, but I wanted him to stand out because 29 years in the majors, So the center fielder for the Phillies back in the day, when we were shooting this, he had a big chaw, and he was a great player.
Are you referring Dykstra? No.
Dykstra. Yeah, Lenny Dykstra.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite player at the time, and I said, I'll just
duplicate the
right, yeah. And they came up to wipe it off of my face. I'm like, no.
Got to keep the authenticness of this.
They called him the Mississippi Mudcat. That's what they called him, right?
Yep.
And I think he comes in clean, but then by the end of 3 innings, he's a Mudcat, and it was a thrill.
And and then we know about the cult film. Now this is I saw this first time again last night. It is a great film, and it was like started off with Spielberg. Trying to get this to be produced by Steven Spielberg. It's 3 o'clock high. And let me tell you, my wife's from Brazil. She knew about it down in Brazil. It's got a cult following in Brazil. And I hear it's all over the world. There's a cult following for that movie.
Man,
and it's catching on. It's,
Man, I tell you, we went to a Comic-Con, and they had grown men with pictures. So can we get
Cool.
I mean, it was amazing. It really was. That I was living in my truck. And I get to the gate to go to Steven Spielberg's offices. That's where the auditions were. And the guy, he goes, where are you working today? I said, I'm doing a movie with Steven Spielberg. They go, no, you're not. What are you, a plumber or something? I said, no, my brother is, but no, I'm an actor. He goes, yeah, what's your name? I said, I showed him the card, Richard Tyson. He goes, I'll be damned, yes, you are going. I'm like, yeah. And I went in, and I talked to the director recently on an iPod, and I said, I had 15 callbacks. After 3, they're supposed to start paying you, but I was okay. I had a sofa in the back of my truck, and I had to put the tailgate down to make it level, and I would go up to Malibu Hills, and I had a barbecue grill, and I ate chuck steak, and that's how I starved in Hollywood. I did it like that. And so I come in, and the guy's like, what are you doing? I'm going to be in a movie. And when I got it, I went to the guy at the gate. I'm like, I got it, man, I got it. He's like, that's great, and 3 o'clock high. We were looking for the younger guy. What's his name now?
I know what you're talking about. The gentleman that was basically, you all were the showdown at the OK Corral, I guess, basically, best way to say it, right?
Yeah. God, I can't. I'm sorry, brother, that I can't. It's a
no worries,
funny name. But he. They flew me to New York City to look for the guy that would be up against me, and he's got to be a little shorter. And I get there, and I call my friends they're all in New York City trying to get in plays because that's what we were trained for. And I said, Spielberg flew me to the plaza. I'm at the plaza. Get it down here, Unbelievable. And I was late. I said I had to go 17 blocks to where we were doing it. And I got there. I thought I'd lost my job. And I was sweating. And I'm like, I'm not talking to anybody. And I heard someone, God, he's in character already. But anyway, we didn't find him there. And finally, Casey Shamasco. That's who it was.
Yes.
He was the last one I auditioned with. And the director said, Phil Giuano said, look, I want you to stare a hole through his face, all right? I want you to give it to him. I'm like, All right. So in the middle of the scene, I look, and he must have nicked something on his when he shaved that day, and the blood goes like this, and it's
like almost like mentally just stared right through him.
Yeah. And they go, cut. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it.
Yeah, he had mental powers.
But he got the role, and that was just unbelievable.
Art, they say, imitates art. I just want to tell you that Stranger Things, they have it online. I was looking for, researching stuff on Stranger Things. Your entry into the movie, 3 o'clock highs, your boot on the door, on the step of the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what they do?
They did the same scene. That shows you that somebody saw that and said, hey, we're going to give homage to where, online people are saying it's the same kind of a scene somewhere on one of his
if
shows.
It works, it works.
Yeah, it works.
I love
the drama of it all.
I love walking up through the studios, and they're like, he beat up.
Like you were like 10 feet tall when you're coming in there.
Yeah, we heard he beat up a coach just for touching him, and all that stuff. And so they built the character as he was walking in.
So now you live in Mobile. Why not Hollywood? Why not New York? Just Mobile, or do you just enjoy the scenery?
Well, my father was passing away, and I've been out there a while, and I'm going back and forth, but mostly in Mobile.
Have any plans?
I love Mobile. I mean, I don't know wherever they call me to, so that's where I am right now.
But any plans in the near future for anything or big time that you?
Yeah, I have a few movies. They're dancing around with me, and I have an agent. I think I do. No, I do. But I mean, it's hard to get the right person, and she might be, but we are juggling a few movies. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, it has been a pleasure to have you here on our show. I've been doing this for just a few times.
Hey, that's great. Very good.
You're a great interview. I mean, I like when interviews go and start talking and go and go and go. You're like Pat Boone. Pat, when I talked to Pat, I gave him one question, 15-minute answer. I love 15-minute answers because it keeps me from talking less.
That's great, man.
Well, nice to meet you.
It's awesome.
So, folks, Richard Tyson here. Catch the movies. Look it up on IMDb. Look up his name on IMDb, and you can find out all of his movies. It has been a pleasure to have you here on our show, Richard.
Thank you. I got on the bus with $100. And my brother played for Bear Brown in Alabama. He goes, cool. I counted them. There's 47 people and your mother to see you go be in the movies. I'm like, he goes, you better do it. And I had $100. And I said, I'm getting on the bus right now. He goes, I said, and by the way, that's 48 people. Your mother's a person. But I think we were looking at IMDb, me and my girl, and we looked it up, and it's like I've done over 160 productions.
Yeah, and you're the typical. I mean, again, you're like up. What's his name from Godfather? I can't think of his name. The character actor played the consigliere.
Oh yeah.
I can't think. It's like. Would you rather have a famous name and be famous, or would you rather have many parts and be a character actor that, like you said, 160 movies? That's a great career.
Yeah, and I've done 50 plays, maybe more professionally,
sure.
And I just love it all.
Evil or good, which is better to play?
I don't think anybody's evil.
Well, but they play. I know.
A kindergarten cop, he's not evil.
No,
he had his reasons.
He had his reasons, exactly. I just wondered, when it comes to.
I mean, when a ferret that has got values, I guess, he bit me right at the right time, and it's like, really, that's how we're going to solve this?
I guess that's why
Arnold couldn't have done it just by himself. He needed a ferret.
Some help, I guess.
Yeah.
Again, it's been a pleasure to have Mr. Richard Tyson here on our show.